Yo, welcome to Hot Streak Podcast. It's your boy Carlos in the studio once again. And of course, I'm never alone in the studio.
Because I'm always right here, bro. It's the homie Saif. What's poppin'?
Hey, man, nothing much. Just another week full of some interesting NBA headlines. As of last week, we were talking about, when we were referring to the Cleveland Cavaliers, some adjectives that came to mind were disgruntled, no motivation, not a team. And that's not the case this week. As of last week, with the trade deadline last Thursday, the Cavaliers decided to make some moves, basically readjusting their entire roster. They got rid of Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Iman Shumpert, and Dwayne Wade. And they brought in Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., Rodney Hood, and George Hill.
Like an hour before the trade deadline, bro.
Yeah.
They got rid of half their team.
They made some interesting moves, man. Initially, I was like, me being a Laker fan, Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance became expendable as soon as Josh Hart and Kyle Kuzma developed their NBA games. Josh Hart obviously took a lot of people by surprise with his increased playing time and then his production on the court. Larry Nance as well, like Kyle Kuzma is the same position. Obviously, he's a better offensive threat. His defense can work, but he's a rookie, so obviously they liked Kyle Kuzma a lot in LA. Not to say they didn't like these two players. They were just expendable, and they really got the best end of the deal out of this, I think. We got an expiring contract in Isaiah Thomas and Channing Frye. Oh, I forgot. They got rid of Channing Frye too, the Cavs.
Right.
And they also got a first-round pick, which I believe originally belonged to the Nets, I think.
I don't think it was the Nets pick, was it? I thought it was like the Utah pick or something. It was a first-round pick, though.
Yeah, it's a first-round pick. So they got the Lakers got Isaiah Thomas and Channing Frye, 2 expiring contracts, and then Iman Shumpert, I think, went to the Kings in a 3-team deal that bought Jay Crowder to Utah. I think he's in Utah.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's a good trade for all the teams that received and shipped players to wherever they landed. Just because now it looks like Jay Crowder, who was underappreciated, who was a great basketball player, underappreciated with the Cavs. He's gonna land. He landed somewhere where he has some history. His dad played for the Jazz. He has a potential now to come into that locker room and make a difference with a young up and coming team. And as far as like the Lakers, they got expiring contracts. They freed up all that cap space. They got a pick, so they have assets. And I guarantee that the Lakers will not sign Isaiah Thomas just because. If they do sign him, he's going to be a 6-man. He's not going to be a starter.
Yeah. I like the whole trade because I feel like it's a win-win. Like, Cleveland got what they need right now. Lakers are planning for the future, and right now it doesn't seem so bad. Like, we gave up Nance, who did all the little things. He's going to help Cleveland so much, and then Clarkson's going to help Cleveland so much. He can shoot for them. He can just play all the roles that, I guess, what's it called? Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Jay Crowder, or whatever. These guys weren't doing their thing. And IT for the Lakers, he's not going to be horrible. Like, I just hope he doesn't try to take over too much. But
ultimately,
he's not going to be horrible.
Ultimately, I think the Cavs have re-established themselves as the team to beat in the East.
Yep. They just beat the Celtics last weekend.
The funny thing about that, the funny thing about them beating the Celtics is that they traded for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance to Lakers, blew out the Celtics on national television when Paul Pierce's jersey was retiring, and these two guys were wearing number 8 and number 24 respectively. So just a little bit of shade from the Lakers organization to throw those players into the ring of fire and watch them perform. I think Clarkson also like super probably happy about it. I don't know about Nance because he liked being on the Lakers, but
Clarkson, he's like on a playoff team now. You know, he's not going to be losing as much. He's going to actually contribute. And
to say, like, as a Laker fan, I just like to thank them because they were there with the horrible seasons, and they were some of the few bright spots. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to see Larry Nance win the slam dunk contest with the Laker jersey on. I'll still be rooting for him, but I mean, Larry Nance is at home. He's originally from Cleveland, Ohio. His dad was a Cavalier, so
yeah, retired his jersey there too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be good, and like I said, I think the Cavs are definitely now reestablished themselves as the team to beat in the East. And then as far as the Lakers right now, Lonzo Ball's still hurt. He's officially been shut down for the remainder of the next few games until the All-Star break, so he won't be back until after the All-Star game. Right. So February 23rd, I think, is that timetable. And then it brings the question with Isaiah Thomas in, how are the Lakers going to fit him into the rotation? Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a six-man? Is he going to be the two guard, the one guard? I think since the Lakers have been one of the hottest teams in the league right now, I think they have to continue to go with what was showing the production. Isaiah Thomas off the bench would be a much needed offensive spark that they don't have now that Jordan Clarkson is gone. So they need some more offense off the bench. Isaiah Thomas fits perfectly in that role. Eventually, when Lonzo's back, I don't think you see Lonzo and Isaiah on the court at the same time when starting. I do think that Isaiah's minutes are going to increase because it's going to be hard to guard him. And he can spread the floor very well. His three-point shot is pretty nice, but I would like him to come in and do that because, I don't want him to be in forever, but if he can come in, start scoring a little bit, get us a little lead or maintain the lead, because, I don't see him as a long-term whole game player. Maybe just that energy we need because he's not going to really play defense for us. So yeah, he's a liability defensively, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting. We'll see what the Lakers decide to do and in the future. But as far as the NBA around the league, the Warriors and the Suns played earlier this week, and Steve Kerr decided that in the timeouts he's not gonna run the timeouts. He's gonna have the players take over and coach during the timeouts. I don't see an issue with it. Andre Iguodala had a couple of timeouts where he coached up the team. Draymond Green coached up the team, and I don't really see an issue with this. Jared Dudley from the Suns had a different stance on this. He thought it was disrespectful, but he said, well, if you're losing as many games as we're losing, your opponent's not going to respect you. You got to do something to change that on your own. I think Steve Kerr said himself. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Kobe used to do some player coaching all the time. And, the Warriors are, a team that don't even need a coach. Let's be honest. Steve Kerr's done some good stuff, but he could be out for months and have any one of his assistant coaches look after the team, and there might be a 1 or 2 game difference. I don't think, honestly, that team is so stacked and they're so good that what's a coach going to tell him to make them better? What's he doing? He's not running these crazy plays. He just has to make sure that he manages the time clock, doesn't make any stupid calls, and makes the rotations. So to me, it's whatever. Obviously, these players could do it if they just did it.
And the explanation that Steve Kerr gave for the the background on why he was doing that is because he's tired of hearing his voice, and his players are tired of hearing his voice. He doesn't feel like he's been doing enough. I mean, they're always asking. The Warriors are always, or he's been saying in the media lately that they need a break. So he's doing things to switch it up to not get stagnant, and that's fine. I mean, they blew out the Suns by 40 points. So
yeah, but everyone has.
Yeah, so it's just I don't think anyone should look too deep into that. And then as far as the rest of the league, I don't know. I think this whole trade kind of shook up some teams. Even though there wasn't a lot of blockbuster deals, the trade deadline really bolstered some new teams. Joe Johnson was a part of that trade. He got a buyout actually. And he's potentially going to sign with the Houston Rockets. That makes them better. They're probably the deepest team right now in the NBA. So that's going to be interesting to see how Joe Johnson fits into that. And then Donovan Mitchell, who is leading Utah to a 10-game win streak earlier this week. He from my perspective, he should be Rookie of the Year just because he is a rookie through and through, and he's doing things on the court that you're like, wow, this kid can ball. And the crazy thing about this is he was never a high recruit out of high school to go to any colleges for playing basketball. He was a baseball player.
No way.
Yeah, he picked up basketball, I think his first year in college. And then...
What?
Yeah, and he's just balling. He's a freak.
Dude, that kid's a superstar already. Like, you see it. It's not just like, oh, he went off for 40 points one game. Like, this guy is a beast shooter. His athleticism is crazy. He can dunk like a beast. He can drive it in. He's got so much. It's like, dude, the Jazz got so lucky with that pick. This draft class was crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. And they're on a 10-game win streak. 1.5 games out of the 8th seed. So that's interesting right there. They could potentially they could potentially face off against the Warriors again in the playoffs come April.
That's crazy to me, dude.
Yeah, man, it's pretty interesting. And then I think there's some since the NFL news or since the NFL season's over, we're deciding that we're gonna just whatever news there is regarding the NFL, we'll just squeeze it in to one of our segments. So so Jimmy Garoppolo is now the highest paid NFL player of all time.
Damn.
5-year, $37.5 million deal. 48.7 million guaranteed in signing. So this contract is worth this contract itself is more than Tom Brady received in his entire 10-year span from winning the first Super Bowl that he was ever in. 10 years later, that contract is still more than all that money that he earned within that span. We have some things about Jaguars' big decision coming up. Did Blake Bortles just turn a corner in 2017? Is he going to be your franchise quarterback? I still say you don't pay the man a lot of money. Do not pay that man a lot of money because he will run. No. He will run. Oh, man. And Stephen A. Smith, everyone is pretty familiar with Stephen A. Smith with his First Take show on SportsCenter. He believes that the Cowboys should cut Dez Bryant. If you speak to any Cowboy fan, they're gonna tell you if they have any ounce of knowledge in their body, they're gonna tell you that the best thing for the organization to do as of today is get rid of Dez Bryant. He has a $16 million guarantee coming up on his contract this season if he stays with the team. They need a lot of help on defense, and they need someone who's not going to drop the ball as often as Dez Bryant dropped the ball this year. But who knows? I mean, the offseason is going to be a long one. We're going to see a lot of moves. We're going to see a lot of interesting developing stories coming out. I mean, the draft is about 80-something days away, or the combine is coming up next month, and then the draft is in March or in April. So the NFL season is the offseason's slowly gonna tick by, and we're gonna get some interesting headlines, some big names, and it's gonna be great. I can't wait. Unless Saif has anything else to add on this, one
more thing, dude. That's it. One more thing. LeVar Ball, I got a message, bro.
Oh.
Stop talking that talk, bro. Because ruin this shit for Lonzo. This dude's talking that he's not gonna re-sign with Lonzo's not gonna re-sign with the Lakers if they don't take his other two brothers, and that he'll sign with whatever team takes him. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you talking about 3 years in advance, making everyone worry? Like, you're making me, I'm one of Lonzo's biggest fans, and you're making me want to trade him, bro. So that's all I had to say.
Hey, I agree with Saif, man. LeVar needs to shut his pie hole. No one in their right mind would take 3 Ball brothers with LeVar Ball like just crowding over them in their organization. No one would do that. And then
next thing he's coach and then owner.
Yeah, and then
thinks he's taking over.
First off, Lonzo Ball has his own dreams and he's his own man. He's gonna sign with whatever team he wants to sign with, and it's his rookie year, so we don't even have to talk about him re-signing with anybody yet, because I mean, the man knows what he's doing. Like, he just needs to focus on getting healthy and balling. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your brothers. Your brothers out there in Lithuania doing in between the leg layups or whatever they're doing out there, shooting from half court, whatever. But LeVar, shut it.
Yeah, straight up.
All right. So that's it for the NBA/NFL segment on Hot Streak. We're going to come back with some international soccer news. Keep it locked.
This ain't no hot links. This is no hot chicks. It's Hot Streak Podcast, man.
Yo, we're back on Hot Streak Podcast. What is good in the neighborhood? We're going to bring you some soccer news coming up real quick. First off, we're going to start in the Premier League. So, it's relatively the same at the top. The top 6 teams have stayed the same. Manchester City is 18 points ahead of second place Manchester United. Manchester City could potentially win. If they win the next 6 league games, they clinch the Premier League trophy. I think if they win this next 6, like, that's just assuming that every other team continues to play well and wins their games. They have the lucky number for them is 6. But I think they're going to clinch. I don't see them falling apart the second half of this season. They've only lost 1 game all year, which is impressive. They dropped some points this weekend, but that was all right. And then Arsenal is in 6th place. They're 7 points out of the top 5. They actually lost this weekend. Not very surprising, but we'll see how they try to clinch a spot into the top 4, maybe the top 5, to potentially get a Europa League spot or Champions League spot next season. As far as fixtures coming up this weekend, it is a bye week for the Premier League. They don't have any games until the 24th of this month. So I think it's because they have some England friendlies coming up. So once England plays for friendlies, they shut down the domestic league for the weekend. As far as Spanish league, we have Barcelona staying at the top. They actually tied. They had a 0-0 tie this weekend. It was the first time this season that they have been held to no goals. It was at home too, which was a little bit odd, and they had to do it with a makeshift defensive line. Gerard Piqué is injured. Samuel Umtiti had a suspension, so they started the new signing, the Colombian Yerry Mina, and they had Lucas Digne in the back with him. And it was they held their own. There was a little bit of some defensive lapses, but they played very well together. They held the team to a 0-0 draw, but they did drop points. Atletico Madrid is now 7 points behind Barcelona. Valencia with 43 points is in 3rd, and then Real Madrid in 4th place. As far as this weekend, there's some there's some matches coming up. We have Barcelona versus Eibar. We have Sevilla versus Las Palmas. Valencia versus Malaga. Atletico versus Athletic Bilbao. And Real Madrid versus Real Betis. Yeah, some pretty good games. Hopefully, Real Madrid can lose and Barcelona can continue winning.
Yep, as always.
Yep. And then in Germany, everything has pretty much stayed the same at the top. Bayern Munich faces off against Wolfsburg this weekend. And Borussia Dortmund against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Schalke versus Hoffenheim. And Bayern Leverkusen versus Hamburg. So, Bayern Munich, again, just at the top. They're looking to pick up Christian Pulisic. I think we spoke about this last week. He's a front runner to land in Bayern. He's 19 years old, the American. So hopefully, I mean, it would be good just for American soccer status to have a young up and coming star play for such a great team in Germany. He would get some Champions League spots, potentially facing up against some strong opposition. So that's pretty good. And in France, it's pretty much the same. I mean, PSG is running away with the Ligue 1. They're 12 points ahead of second place AC Monaco, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon. This weekend, we have PSG versus Strasbourg. Monaco played earlier today, as of this recording today, Friday, against Dijon, and Lyon versus Lille, Marseille versus Bordeaux. It's going to be some interesting goals, some nice highlights this weekend. And then as far as the Italian league, it's a chase to the end, man. Napoli versus Juventus. It's the same two at the top, within 1 point of each other. Basically, they're the only two teams in the title race. Juventus has actually played earlier this week in the Champions League. They are an injury-ridden team right now. They are not playing up to the standards that they wish because of all the injuries. This weekend, Juventus plays Torino. Inter Milan plays against Genoa. Napoli versus a mid-table team. And then AC Milan versus another mid-table team. So the Italian league is looking like a two-horse race. It's going to be decided between that matchup, Napoli versus Juventus, and then we'll see from there. And then as far as the Champions League, the return of the Champions League this week. If you didn't have a Valentine's Day, I'm pretty sure you did see some great soccer because Real Madrid faced off against PSG on Wednesday. And obviously, since this is a pre-recorded show, we didn't really get to see any of the highlights of that. But I'm sure it was a great game. And then on Tuesday, we had Manchester City versus FC Basel. And FC Basel, I mean, they're a strong team in their respective league, but nowhere near the firepower to beat Manchester City. Manchester City decimated them 4-0. And then Juventus versus Tottenham. You would within the first 10 minutes there was 2 goals. Juventus scored 2 quick strikes 10 minutes into the game, and then at that point you're like, oh, you know what, this game is over. Tottenham ended up scoring at the end of the first half, and then in the second half, a lot of pressing, a lot of team pressing by Tottenham had Juventus a little bit shaky in the back, and they committed a nasty foul right outside the 18. And Christian Eriksen delivered. He delivered a nice, powerful, low-driven free kick, and into the back of the net it went. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, Saif, but with the Champions League knockout stages, there's 2 games. Each teams play 2 games against each other, one at home and one away. Away goals count more. So right now, Juventus is tied with Tottenham 2-2, but since Tottenham was away, they have 2 away goals in their favor. So in 3 weeks when they face off, Juventus has to win that game or potentially score more away goals if they tie or lose. So it's up in the air. I'm so glad it's back. The knockout stages in the Champions League is what everyone lives for. It's going to be great. And then, so next week we'll have some more information on Champions League knockout stages. There's some more games next week. On Tuesday, we have Bayern Munich versus Besiktas and Chelsea versus Barcelona. And then on Wednesday, we have Sevilla versus Manchester United and Shakhtar Donetsk versus AC Roma. So, yeah, guys, I think this is pretty much to the end of the episode. It was a shorter episode since we don't have football to be talking about anymore. But, good NBA week, great soccer week. And quick plugs. Yo, Saif, tell them where it's at.
Yo, follow me on Instagram at SafeK94. Follow us on Instagram at Hot Streak Podcast. Twitter, Hot Streak Pod. Instagram, CRP Shows. And anything else, Carlos?
No, man, that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah,
so that's it for this episode of Hot Streak. And thanks for listening. Tune in next week for a new episode. Peace.
This was a Cesar Rodriguez production. Check out more at crpshows.com.